Thank you. I'm so pleased to be here and really quite honored. I've been at this job for about 6 years, and I've met various officials from various waterfronts around the world. It's been very fortunate. And I often, when I've described what we've accomplished, what we've done, people often say, "Gosh, we want to have an MWA in our city too." But you're, I think, the first ones who are actually trying to do something to create it or think about it anyway. So I'll be pleased to work with you. And we've been growing a blue movement, that's what we often call it, for the New York, New Jersey harbor. This is sort of the prime, one of the drivers of us. This is what it looked like in many parts of the waterfront. That's up in the Bronx. And it's a waterfront that's cut off from the people through post-industrial use, through highways, through rail. You just couldn't get to it, couldn't use it, and if you got to it, it wasn't very attractive anyway. So this is sort of some of the work that was done, early on, and this is I'm going to get this into the OED. This is a word called esplanadia, and it's a term for a banal waterfront, a place that has no color, no life. It's a step in the right direction, but a very meager step. We say it can be so much more. We can do recreation and education on our waterfront. There's a burgeoning kayaking movement in the city, and there are about 60 or 70 folks that use that waterfront as a classroom. And we try to politically activate those folks, and they're doing a pretty good job. We do have an amazing working waterfront. It's the largest port on the East Coast. There's a huge maritime industry that serves the entire East Coast, even down to New Orleans, with tug operations and barges. Yet it's sort of hidden and not thought about by anybody. We want to change that, so support the working waterfront. Next. Living Edge, do ecological restoration that supports fish life and mollusks and all sorts of good things that can improve the health of our waterways. Next. As an NGO, you got to have a mission statement, and this is ours, essentially to transform that waterfront to a vibrant place to play, learn, and work with great parks, great jobs, great transportation for all. The last two words I always try to emphasize: for all. This is a people's waterfront. I think it's an incredible resource, and opening people's eyes to what it could be, I think, is good in and of itself, but it's also good politically. And if I say it once now, I'll say it hopefully 4 or 5 times. This is a political movement. This is the politics and policy, what this is all about. I'm an organizer. I'm trying to galvanize a constituency to change our locality. But we seem to be working. This is a brief timeline of some things. We made those recommendations that became the core of what's been heralded really from LA to Abu Dhabi. This past year, we were able to help secure Sandy funding, but not just help secure Sandy funding, in I think in a very progressive, environmentally positive way. So why does it work? Non-confrontational. We seek common ground. We recognize there's 5% of the things, issues that the waterfront folks want to murder each other on. Let's put those aside. Let's think about that 95% of issues and ideas that will unite us and help us be a stronger constituency for a shared agenda. Next. A shared agenda. We put forward the policies we must agree upon. So these task force meetings, usually 50 to 70 different organizations or businesses in a room talking about a topic, design, recreation, waterfront recreation, anything like that. And I said, give me ideas. I want ideas that are simple, that I can understand as a new person in the field. I want that are understandable to an 8-year-old child and are understandable to your average politician who has the attention span of a 4-year-old child. It's not all kumbaya. This is a place to respectfully vet disagreements, and we will recognize that a working port puts trucks off the road and improves the environment, and the people from the commercial shipping saying, please recognize that we exist, and we want to have a harbor that shares. I'm an event addict. My staff hates it, but it really is important. That City of Water Day event I mentioned before, which again has grown. It happened about 2 or 3 years ago. People started coming to me and saying, "Well, we are in Staten Island. I can't come all the way up there. But we want City of Water Day too." I said, "Oh, all right. Well, we named it. I named it. We'll call it City of Water Day in your neighborhood." And last year there were 15. We didn't create these. 15 different City of Water Day events throughout the harbor. The City Board Day event is for the people, and we get a lot of earned media. People, we get coverage. It's really good. But the conferences have become just sort of the keystone for the policy work. We're at this conference that's now in the bigger boat. But at a certain point, we became the go-to organization for waterfront policy. One of our great arguments is for a Department of the Waterfront, a governance agency that will help manage this massive waterfront in a more progressive and intelligent fashion. So this is it. This, again, heralded widely. We had a huge reason why this thing was created, what it says, and how it was created. So you'll see the diversity of interests that are reflected in it, which is twinned with our Waterfront Action Agenda. So this is the formula for success. So we were able to build a constituency that people could pay attention to and understood with a cohesive agenda. We made that agenda. We got some legislation that called for this. And then, presto magico, we have a comprehensive waterfront plan. I've done a fair amount of media since the storm hit. And one interview showed the gentleman who was interviewing said, Superstorm Sandy is the storm that launched 1,000 conferences. And it's a good line, it's true too. All right, next. This is the conservative estimate of where the water's rising. I think this is actually, it's going to be dated and inaccurate in a little while. It's going to be much worse than that. Next. We're doing a couple of pictures of Sandy devastation. It was truly remarkable. I'm sure you've seen the news coverage. The power of that thing was amazing. So it's making a lot of important policy decisions are being made right now, and we're in the midst of it. So let me talk about that a little bit. Next, we had an event plan called the General Assembly, which I borrowed from my organizing friends. We were going to bring everybody together, and because we knew there was a new election coming, and we wanted to have folks talk about their dreams and aspirations, and put together a plan that we can throw in front of all the candidates and say, what are you going to do? And it happened to be November 10th, 10 days after the storm. So we were washed out of our office, but we found another place to go, and we had this assembly, which was just a remarkable, great event. People were able to, first tell about their experiences in the storm. Everyone was still in a slight state of shock about what had happened. And then talk about, we had a guy from New Orleans talk about their reaction, an academic who had just written a paper in the New York Times about the positive and negatives of a Seagate. And we were able to come together with the start of a 12-point plan, which has really informed the discussion. It was very broad and general, but I think it was an important document. So I just like to finish with sort of like the cheat sheet of what I think are the big. So these are the four things. And I'd add a fifth now. In conversation at the conference that Ruby and I were at, I said, being too dumb to know it's almost impossible is probably a fifth one. But, the point was getting those people in a room over and over again, talking, thinking about themselves as constituents. It was a community organized, it was an exercise. Next. Our ground rules. Low threshold of membership. We're not a membership organization. You don't have to pay a dime. You have to participate one way or the other. All 720 do something with us. You have to buy into the large, broad, mission, and then you get signed up by my friend Louis Kleinman, the almost octogenarian. We vet our issues through the task forces. So again, that's that organizing thing, and you have to understand when you're getting on board that you should agree on most things, but you don't have to agree on everything. There has to be consensus. And then last, that slide of Charlton Heston as Moses. You don't need a singular figure, but you need someone's got to love this idea so much that they're willing to run through walls through it. Again, we had a board, you had me, you got some funders that were excited and willing to stick with it for the long haul. Leadership, again, in any situation is so critical. And I think that's where I say, thank you. All right.